tuning in to another episode of the Berardo Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Berardo. Each episode I focus on giving you fun, entertaining content on health, happiness, positivity, and anything else that's important to us humans. If you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram at the Berardo, and don't forget to subscribe to the show by visiting theberardo.com/thepodcast, or just click that little subscribe button wherever you're listening to the podcast. Thanks again, and enjoy the episode.
You're just funny. It's the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how?
Yeah, come hither.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gents, what is going on? Man, I am so sorry. It's been over a week since I've done an episode. Been a lot going on. If you don't know, if you don't follow me on the gram or anything like that, a lot of exciting stuff. But I'm also doing a separate YouTube channel where I, break down different clips and some wild things. That's not necessarily a podcast related, but on YouTube I started to do a lot of content there. So I've been tied up. So I apologize. We got some guests coming up here the next couple of weeks, but I did want to put out an episode because we got this little thing called COVID that's been going around for quite some time. And it appears that we may have a solution in the vaccine. But of course, here we are mid-May, and, there's been a lot of, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? There's been, conspiracy theories and all that type of stuff. So me personally, I just want to give my opinion on it. And, this is more of an objective view. It's not one side or the other. So hopefully you out there will not get upset by this. But I think it's important that we all kind of take a look objectively at this, because I think every single person is different, right? Very similar to the actual virus. I think taking the vaccine, each person should, look at this thing differently, but you got to look at it from both ways too. To blatantly say one thing or the other, I think is irresponsible. And that's not just with the vaccine, that's with any topic, right? Whether it's religion or politics or, going shopping at Target, have an objective view on everything is how I look at it. So we're going to kind of break that down. But before we get into that, I do want to thank a couple of our sponsors. I want to thank our friends over at Golden Ratio. I'm pretty much done with this cup of coffee right here. Golden Ratio, guys. Drink goldenratio.com. I don't know about you guys, but typically when I have, a cup of coffee, whether it's in the morning or, a midday pick-me-up, the worst part about coffee is the coffee breath, the bubbly guts, that jitter that you get when you're drinking that cup of coffee. Golden Ratio takes everything you love about that morning beverage and they step it up a couple notches. With Golden Ratio, you don't get the coffee breath, you don't get the stained teeth, or not even the bubbly guts from that cup of joe, because they actually slow roast all their coffee beans, so it drinks more like tea than coffee. It even comes in individual bags so that you don't have to drink an entire pot like I used to. You'll actually just take the bag, you'll steep it in some hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. The longer you steep, the more the flavor. But they make it super simple to, drink it hot or cold. And again, they come in these individual bags so that we can control those caffeine cravings. It's 5 times less acidic than regular coffee, and it won't give you the bubbly guts. You can try all Golden Ratio's flavors, including vanilla coconut, spice chai, and they even have some great seasonal flavors. Just visit drinkgoldenratio.com, use the code THEBERARDO. You're going to get a whopping 20% off your entire order. So thank you, Golden Ratio. Finish this up here. Epic. And also, this episode is brought to you by Public Goods. Public Goods is the one-stop shop for affordable, sustainable, healthy household products, from home and living to personal care and daily premium pantry staples. You can get it all in one place at publicgoods.com. What I love about them is they search the entire globe for clean, healthy, and eco-friendly, innovative products. Just like their organic pesto, they have a sulfate-free shampoo. That is a tongue twister. As well as tree-free paper products like toilet paper and paper towels. And they just came out with some really gorgeous ceramic plates and glasses that are all microwavable and dishwasher safe. Our entire home is just littered with Public Goods products just because they look clean, they look great. You can check out all the products at publicgoods.com. And if you want a discount, use the code TonyPGA. You're going to get a discount on your entire purchase order. Check them out, publicgoods.com. Okay. This is a funky topic, right? Just like a lot of other stuff out there, like politics, religion, carrying firearms, all that stuff. It's sensitive. I get it. Let me first start off by saying, I normally get the flu vaccine, and I found myself almost hesitant to get this one. And it wasn't necessarily because of lack of research, because if you know me, I do my research on a lot of stuff. And I don't have all the answers, obviously, but what I found that was interesting about this was there was more negative, like public research on this. And, again, we don't know if anything's verified or not, right? Because social media has become so prevalent in our everyday lives. I think we found ourselves, especially the last 18 months. I mean, when you look at what's been going down with the pandemic and everything, we've all been home, right, for the last 18 months. So we're just constantly taking all the information we get. And most of it's very, lack of a better word, clickbaity. And, there's a reason why John Krasinski started that YouTube channel, Good News, because there's no good news out there. I mean, that's why that thing was so great and so successful, was because when you turn on the news or when you look on your feed, it's mostly negative stuff, and that's why people like John Wick. It's just a bunch of action and shots to the face and gore and the word fuck, and it's just great. It's fantastic. It's a great movie. But that's why people enjoy the negative headlines. And that's why people click on the bad stuff. It's because it's more of a story, right? It's better. Reading that Bill Gates is installing chips into the vaccine so that way he could track us. That's more interesting to click on than Bill Gates donated millions of dollars to a charity. No one cares about that. And I think we're being tested here, right? And I don't know by who. You're starting to find out that, humans in general, we've always been a very interesting species, but we're in a very, very strange time right now to where, like, we got to be careful on where we get our information from and what we actually talk about and how we talk about it, because it's very dangerous. You can't be so matter of fact with everything, especially if you have thousands and millions of followers. You have a responsibility if you decide to put out content and talk about things that you're not so matter of fact. And that's what I try to do with this podcast is I just try to talk about things that I know about. And if I don't know about it, I like to have guests on to talk about it. So as I'm talking about this vaccine, just know that I'm no expert. I've done my research just like all of you out there. I just kind of wanted to give a little bit more of an objective view and an opinion on this, because I don't think there's a lot of that out there. I think there's more, don't get the vaccine because of this, or you should get the vaccine because of this. Let's break down a couple of things. Let's first talk about the reason why people wouldn't get a vaccine. So for years, there's been anti-vax people and people that don't believe that getting their child, vaccinated at birth, whether you believe in that or not is your right. It's up to you to choose. It's your baby, it's your family. Me, I've always gotten the vaccine because, especially the flu vaccine in particular, and then of course got my shots when I was a kid. But there's been a lot of diseases out there that have been eradicated by vaccines. Polio has been eradicated in the U.S. It's still in other countries across the world. Obviously, flu, extremely deadly. There's been many strands, and the flu vaccine has helped us maintain that and build up an immunity to that. The most known is probably like chickenpox, measles, all that jazz. But, the fact that we don't trust the government and the CDC, these companies that are putting these vaccines together, the fact that we don't trust them, I think, is a big problem. And, I'm guilty of saying that I don't necessarily believe in everything the government does. and I don't trust a lot of what the government does. I think Washington and the state and, our whole country, there's just so many bad apples and greedy pricks in that organization. That's probably not going to be fixed in my lifetime. So I'm very pessimistic when it comes to that stuff anyway. But with something like the vaccine, I don't know, man. I mean, let me also say that I'm a shot in. So I already got the vaccine, by the way. Let me say that. I started this podcast originally saying that I was skeptic at first about getting it. But then why though? Why was I skeptic? I didn't really have an answer. And that's what you have to tell yourself is, why do you not want to get the vaccine? Well, I don't want to get it because of, I heard that Bill Gates is doing a microchip, that conspiracy, and he wants to put a microchip in it so he can track people. He's been working on this for years, and there's video. All right, I've seen the videos, I've done the research, but they don't have to do that. They don't have to microchip you. Here's the microchip. They don't need to put it in your arm. You're carrying it around every day. But then I also look like, okay, so did Bill Gates do all the great stuff he did for Microsoft and the foundation that him and his wife started, which rest in peace because they're getting divorced, but they had, like I have a Microsoft, right? I have a laptop. I mean, he did some incredible things. He's one of the smartest guys on the planet. Are you telling me he did all that work, got all that money, and he only did that because he wants to track you with a microchip? He wants to control the population and take a quarter of the percentage of the population out of existence. I don't know, man. I don't know what the motive there is. Again, I look at it like conspiracy theories are cool. Like they're fun to talk about. It's like people that believe the earth is flat. That's fun to talk about. It's bullshit. It's idiotic thinking, but it's fun to talk about. We're not always right. Also, like we're learning new information all the time. And that leads me to the other thing, which is, well, I don't want to take the shot or I don't want to take the vaccine because, Fauci this and Fauci that. And, he said not to wear the mask and then to wear the mask. And then, if you get the vaccine, don't wear the mask. And then, well, why am I even getting the vaccine if I still have to wear the mask? Listen, man, this is all new to everybody. The reason there's new information all the time is because there's new information all the time. So things are changing and these people get it wrong. The director of the CDC, the president of the United States, your mother and father, your best friend, we all get things wrong and we all get things right sometimes. And we're constantly learning new information. So the fact that you hold someone, over the spikes just for a couple things, I just think we have to be careful. You have to take it easy. You can't be so matter of fact with everything. You got to be a little bit more objective and say, hey, man, this is a new virus. This Fauci guy doesn't really know what he's talking about. He's guessing a lot of the stuff, and that's okay. Are you the guinea pig by getting the vaccine? Sure. But you're also the guinea pig by not getting the vaccine also. Talk to my my friends and my parents' friends that some of them went to the hospital and with COVID and now have some serious side effects from actually having COVID, not the vaccine. You could look up, whatever the death rate is, and it's constantly changing. But, you're also a guinea pig by not getting it, right? Because if you end up getting COVID and you're at high risk for COVID and you get it, you're the guinea pig now by not getting it. So you got to look at it from both sides. Like it's not so, I'm not going to get it because of this. I'm not going to get it because of that. Me personally, I got the vaccine for my friends and family so I could see them. You don't necessarily have to get it if you're not at high risk. I mean, there's studies show that if you're a healthy individual, which I am, I didn't get COVID during this entire time. I was very safe. Of course, I didn't do a whole lot, but, I was out and about doing things with work and I didn't get it, but I also take care of myself. I also take a plethora of vitamins every single day, tons of vitamin C. I work out regularly. I get tons of vitamin D as well. Probably more I use than I should, but there's never been a vitamin D overdose. I think all these things are important that you take into account if you're not going to get the vaccine. But if you're not going to get the vaccine and you're not doing these things, you're not taking care of yourself and you're not, taking vitamins that you need that have been proven to help you not get, not just, COVID, but influenza, any influenza. The flu itself, could kill you if you don't take care of yourself, right? I think you got to take all that into account as well. You can't be so hypocritical to not get a vaccine and then not take care of yourself, because if you're carrying, whether it's the flu or COVID or any other type of disease, and you're going out in public, that's irresponsible if you're not taking care of yourself. You know, we also have to be very blessed that we're able to get the vaccine. You know, a lot of people don't want to take it because it got rolled out so quick. You got to remember, no one was really doing anything for a year. We've never been in this situation to where the whole world pretty much was shut down for almost a year. So all these people that typically, you know, would have to work 8 hours a day and then go home and do this, and these people, these scientists that work on these vaccines, they were working on it pretty much 24/7, and they were not stopping for a year doing this. And there's some countries out in the world that don't even have the vaccine. We have too much of it, you know, and that's kind of like our own greedy ass fault to where we don't want to share it. You know, this is a worldwide pandemic, right? So it's not like a conspiracy of, you know, Donald Trump versus Biden and Democrats versus Republicans. You know, politicians definitely blew up COVID, and they blew it out of proportion most likely. And that's another squirrely thing, is like they blew it up and they used it to their advantage, some would say. And that's put people on edge about the vaccine. It's, you know, what I've always said with politics. It's very dangerous to get on one side or the other, blue versus red. It's very dangerous because something like this happens. If you're on, you know, the blue side, you're most likely getting the vaccine. If you're on the red side, you most likely don't like the blue side because they're pushing that agenda more. And it doesn't mean that one side's wrong or, you know, one side's right. It just means that you're picking a team, the blue and the red. And because you're picking that team, you're making decisions that aren't thought. There's no critical thinking skills involved in what you're doing. Because you're saying, if I'm red, you know, I'm supposed to have a closet full of firearms, and I'm supposed to not get the vaccine, and I'm supposed to hate Joe Biden, and then if you're on the blue, you're like, no firearms, wear a mask, get the shot. It's not so blue and red. It's not so black and white. You got to live a little bit in the gray area. Me, I voted Republican numerous times. I did vote for Obama. I voted Republican, when I was 18. So I've gone back and forth just because I believe in certain policies on both sides, and I don't in the other. But I also don't want to pick a team either. You know, I'm a Dolphins fan, but the Bucs won the Super Bowl, and they kicked ass. And Tom Brady's the man, best quarterback ever. I respect that. I'll watch that game because of Tom Brady. My chips aren't all in one team. You follow? Like, it shouldn't be all in blue, all in red, all in vaccine, all in non-vaccine. Like, you have to kind of take a little bit of both and just, you know, make your own decision what's best for you and your family. But the fact that I hear people going back and forth all the time on social media about fucking take your vaccine or else, or, you know, if you take the vaccine, you're going to get this and this is going to happen. Like, take it easy, man. Like, we don't need to be judging each other on what we're doing when it comes to this. Like, we just love the drama so much. It's fucking unbelievable. We can't stand good things for some reason. We're always more drawn to the wild and the craziness. And I think it's been built into our DNA over these last 15, 20 years. It's been just absolutely like madness. But we got to get out of that. We got to get out of the habit of judging people and putting out misinformation if you don't know it. You know, it's okay that you don't want to take the vaccine. That's totally cool, man. But don't put out misinformation that you don't know is true. Right? That's where it gets squirrely. So if there's 7.6, 7.7 billion people in the world, and half those people have phones, call it 3 billion people, that's a lot of misinformation going around if we don't know what we're talking about. There's never going to be regulation on that, so it's up to each of us individually to not necessarily just not spread misinformation, right? Because it's hard for us to even know what's wrong and what's right. You know, that's the other challenge is this vaccine, is it FDA approved? Well, no, but neither is a lot of stuff that we do and that we intake. You look at the pharmaceutical world, almost every single one of those drugs are not FDA approved, but we're able to sell them. You look at cigarettes, and since 2000, I think it's 2009, I wrote that down somewhere. Since 2009, the FDA has actually regulated cigarette companies. So it doesn't mean they approve it, just means they're regulating it. But why don't they just ban them completely if we know they cause cancer? Like there's been no studies that show good results from cigarettes. So why does the FDA regulate it? So if you're not going to take the vaccine because it's not FDA regulated, that doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of foods out there that aren't FDA regulated. Red dye number 3 is FDA approved. So that's approved. And it's been shown to cause diseases. You can go down the list. I mean, look at every single package that's in your pantry. I guarantee 40% of it is not FDA approved, but you eat it. Well, why is this vaccine any different? But also too, it's not just the FDA, right? I mean, this is a worldwide pandemic. This is not some big conspiracy where the United Nations got together and was like, all right, guys, you know what we're going to do? We're going to create this virus, and then we're going to kill a bunch of people from it. And then we're going to pay off a bunch of doctors to say everyone has it. That way we increase the number. And then we're going to pretend that we invented this vaccine. We're going to inject a bunch of people with it. And that way we could track them and know exactly where they are. And then we can just kill them whenever we want with this vaccine. Like, what's the motive there? Why would the world do that? What, population control? They have nukes. We have nuclear weapons spread all around the world, not just U.S., China, Russia, everyone does. If they really wanted to eradicate a population, that's the way to do it. They're not going to prolong a vaccine and then inject it into our blood at Publix and CVS. Again, conspiracy theories are fun. They're fun to talk about. I love them personally. I'm a big conspiracy guy. I just enjoy. It's great. Like the UFO conspiracy theories. Now, of course, that has been shown to be true, right? So again, this is like one of those things where everyone was saying UFOs is bullshit, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. And then the Pentagon comes out and says, yeah, we don't know what these are. They're not ours. We don't know if they're China's or Russia's, but they're not ours. We can't identify them. But again, the Pentagon could be lying to us as well, right? So it's like, who do we trust? That's the challenge. And I get why people don't want to do the vaccine, or I get why people don't want to read on one side or the other. But you just have to be careful of how you're spreading the information. It's okay to believe in one thing, but to say that, one way is right and one way is wrong, if you don't know the information, you just have to be careful about how you're spreading that information, because then it's toxic to everyone else. We're just so clouded with so many stories out there, and influencers and, other podcasters, and, we're not the experts, right? Each individual one of us are not the experts. Working out, I always use it as a good example for something like this when I have these conversations, because, if someone says you have to lose 100 pounds, and if you want to lose 100 pounds, this is what you have to do. If that person that's telling you to do that isn't doing any body fat studies, cholesterol studies, what you're allergic to, if they're not doing all these type of BMI tests, like if they're not doing all these type of tests, they don't know what they're talking about. Because how I need to lose 100 pounds might be different than how you need to lose 100 pounds. Every single one of us is different and unique. I think a lot of that has to do with this pandemic as well. A lot of us are going to, be different and act differently towards this and have different opinions. And that's okay. We just have to be careful on giving our opinions to another person if it's not a fact. Because just because they're your opinions doesn't make them fact. If anything, this has really opened our eyes to what we should put in our body. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I think us starting to question what we put in our bodies and where we're getting this, whether it's the vaccine or whether it's food or, what we eat, I think we're all starting to be a little bit more health conscious, which is good. Whether you want to get the vaccine or not, really focus on what you should do to prevent any type of disease, whether it's COVID, whether it's the flu, whether it's, cancer. We just have to start looking at each individual threat that we have out there, and we have to figure out how to combat that threat. And a lot of that has to do with being healthy and staying healthy, which is a big thing that I talk about on this podcast, because it's probably the most important thing we'll do is to be healthy. If we're healthier, we'll live longer. If we live longer, we're able to spread information and knowledge, and we're able to learn more things, and we're able to, teach people and be taught by people, and we're able to, procreate and spread our genes throughout the world and create more humans. And we do all that from being healthy and spreading healthy genes. And hopefully we're all thinking about, and finally, we just have to start thinking to ourselves how lucky we are. If you're living in the U.S. right now or anywhere where you're able to get the vaccine, it might be at no cost depending on your healthcare provider. But, who knows if that's going to bite us in the ass with taxes down the road. I'm sure it will, because nothing's free in this world. We're very lucky that we have this. I just think we have to be careful with how we react to this, because there's other people in the country that would kill to get this vaccine. And they're not questioning whether or not it's real or not, because they've, had family members that have passed away from COVID. You see what's happening like in India too, right? Like the new mutation potentially, it's killing over, I think, 400,000 people was the last quote that came out. So, the vaccines could prevent in future mutations, right? Similar to how we deal with the flu. There's multiple strands of the flu, and getting the flu vaccine helps and gets you immune to it. So, this COVID pandemic has definitely, I think, put a strain on all of us mentally and physically. And, it didn't help that the election was a few months ago. So there was extra tension from both sides there. And we just need to take our time, I think, a little bit with specific topics like this. Use critical thinking, talk to each other, in a constructive way, in a positive way, and not bust balls too much. If you want to get the vaccine or you don't want to get the vaccine, there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. But I just think you need to do your own research and see what's best for you and your family. If you're not at high risk but 10 of your family members are, what's the responsible thing to do? I don't know, just my 2 cents out there, but I know it's a sensitive topic. It's a strange topic. I feel it was important to talk about just because it was on my mind and I needed to kind of vent it out. But I hope you guys, take some value out of this, and I hope we can start thinking a little bit more objectively, because, you only got one life. So let's not waste it, busting each other's balls too much. So stay safe out there, friends. Peace.